Precious Achiuwa trade could be incoming, and this comes on the heels of the Knicks targeting a lot of different centers over the summer, such as Nick Richards and also Jaylen Duren. And when you look at this, it appears that Precious Achiuwa is not long for the New York Knicks, according to Ian Begley, as they will look to trade him around December, and we are going to break all of that down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But let's jump into it, guys, because Ian Begley has recently been discussing Precious Achiuwa as he was asked a question on it, and he kind of broke down why Precious Achiuwa declined his option to have a no-trade clause, and it seems like there's a few reasons, and one of them being that he could get traded very soon into the season. But before we get into that, are you trying to kick a bad habit to the curb? Because if so, then you have to check out Fume. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Fume has a lot of delicious flavors to choose from crisp mint to cinnamon hearts. They have a flavor just for you. And with flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, and no combustion. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be their next success story. So guys, for a limited time only, use our code DIGEST to get a free topper. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. Slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable for those who love to fidget, and it's also reusable. So guys, head to tryfume.com. That is tryfum.com and use code DIGEST or scan this QR code right here to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today. So once again, that is tryfum.com. Use code DIGEST, free topper. It's a can't miss situation. But let's get into the video. I'm sorry, guys, I need money. But look, Precious Achiuwa has been someone who has basically been in trade talks since the New York Knicks acquired him, and after he re-signed with the Knicks this season, something interesting happened, because he signed a one-year deal, re-signing, and it kind of, in the deal that he signed, it's very common for the player who signs that deal to get a no-trade clause added to their contract, but Precious Achiuwa didn't do that. He didn't add the no-trade clause. He waived the option to have it. And Ian Begley kind of broke down why that was, because there's a few different reasons why it could be. But I think one of them, more than anything else, is that Precious is well aware that he is probably the biggest trade chip the Knicks have in acquiring a true backup center who fits the mold of what the Knicks want. And here's what Begley had to say to break it down. As he said that he doesn't think the Knicks, or he doesn't think that Precious did that, taking the no trade clause or not taking it, because the Knicks have a trade in place later in the season. Begley assumes that he waived it as part of the negotiations with the Knicks that ended in a one-year, $6 million contract, and Achiuwa can't be traded until December 15th, so it would be strange if the Knicks already had a trade involving Achiuwa in place when they signed him. The Knicks did explore several options for other backup centers earlier in the offseason via trade, and we will get into that. And then, as Begley mentions, nothing came to fruition. They currently have Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and Jericho Sims as their three centers, and Begley assumes that the Knicks will continue to explore their options to acquire another backup big man. Now, I obviously agree with this, and on the season last year, Precious put up 7.6 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, got a block, got half a steal, shot 50% from the field. Precious had a very solid season with the Knicks, especially when he got to start for the Knicks, but that was mainly at power forward when he did his damage. Precious is not a true center. He's someone who could play it, but he's more of a power forward. He's more of an interior power forward, which is why he has to play a lot of center. But he's also shown potential as a very good defender, even if it's against centers. He gave Joel Embiid the business, holding Embiid to 1 point in the fourth quarter of Game 4 against the 76ers this season when the Knicks fans took over Wells Fargo, one of the great moments in recent Knicks history. And with Precious Achiuwa kind of not taking that no-trade clause, I think is a sign of, okay, it probably made him make more money. The Knicks were probably like, hey, you take this extra money, you waive the no-trade clause, you're good to go. And he probably took the money, which is understandable. But also knowing the Knicks are so calculated. Leon Rose is not messing around. I guarantee Leon had no problem giving him this amount of money because he probably talked to Brock Aller, his assistant GM, and said, look, Brock, how much can we give him? Stay financially flexible and find good trades to move him for. And Brock was like, all right, $6 million. Let's make him waive the no-trade clause to take that, or we'll give him 4, where we could still kind of finagle some things to go our way. It'll just be a bit harder. So the Knicks win on both sides here. They're giving money that's not exactly going to harm them. They're not going to be capped out or anything. But at the same time, they also now have more flexibility for different players. And 2 of them who have come to mind, who I'm going to talk about in this video, is my favorite target, Nick Richards, because I think he's realistic. I think he's a good fit. I think he's got a ton of untapped potential that the Hornets have not gotten to. And I think a guy like Mark Bryant, like Othella Harrington, like Tibbs, they are going to develop this guy and make him into a very, very good player if they get the chance. Now, as Michael Scotto mentioned July 3rd, which all of a sudden is a very long time ago, the Knicks have also made some inquiries on the trade market, showing interest in Walker Kessler along with Nick Richards. Now, I think Walker Kessler is kind of out of the picture at this point. I don't think that was ever too realistic, honestly. But last season, Richards was able to put up 10 points per game with 8 rebounds as mainly a backup center to Mark Williams. He also was getting a block per game and half a steal. Good numbers, 70% from the field, very good post scorer. Yeah, the advanced metrics didn't favor him, but I think that's something that would change. Nick Richards has a ton of untapped potential, especially defensively. He also hits around 68, 69% of his free throws. So you can put him in for Mitch at the ends of games and avoid the hack-a-Mitch stuff. Now, Mitch has gotten consistently worse at free throws every single season. I truly have no idea why that is. The only thing I can imagine is that Mitch just does not practice free throws because it's not that hard. Like, it's really not. You shoot free throws a bunch. Guess what? You're going to be good at it. Like, it is that easy for players to become good free throw shooters. I guess some of them, it's just always going to be mental. Like, for instance, LeBron, someone who's good at basically everything at the sport, can't hit free throws for the life of him, or isn't a great free throw shooter. Rajon Rondo, weirdly bad free throw shooter for no reason. I know he wasn't a great shooter in general, but especially free throws, really bad free throw shooter for no reason. So some guys, I think it's a mental thing, but with the way that Mitch shoots free throws, having a guy like Nick Richards there who can hit it at a modest rate, especially for a center, it makes your life so much easier because you don't have to fear the hack-a-Mitch stuff. And Nick Richards can still come in there. He's a phenomenal rebounder. His post scoring is also excellent. The man has such a good post game. He's great at getting putbacks. He's just a great down-low player, and he fits the mold of what the Knicks want. He's like 26, 27 years old. He's got a lot of untapped potential, guys, and also he makes $5 million per year. The Knicks are hanging around that first apron. They very likely cannot take back more money than they're giving, and Precious Achiuwa makes $6 million per year. So it's a perfect storm for the team. I think this is so the guy you go for. But also there has been a lot of talk on Jaylen Duren, and I'll be honest, Jaylen Duren is better than Nick Richards. I'm aware of that. I don't know how realistic Jaylen Duren is, but I think that he is the Knicks' favorite target. I think the Knicks want him so badly. I think that was partially in mind when they brought in Mark Bryant, the same way that when they brought in Johnny Bryant, part of the thought was, okay, well, it doesn't hurt that him and Donovan Mitchell are very, very close, because the Knicks were obviously heavily targeting Donovan Mitchell around that time. Now you bring in Mark Bryant, a coach that Jaylen Duren has a very good bond with. The Knicks and Pistons have made a handful of trades, whether it was dumping off Nerlens Noel and Kemba Walker and Alec Burks to them to get the Brunson money, or making the move to send Grimes and Malachi Flynn to the Pistons in exchange for Bogey and Burks back. The Knicks have made a few moves, and also Fournier was in that trade, obviously. But the Knicks have made a lot of moves with the Pistons, and I think it does mean that they probably want to make another one for Jaylen Duren. It depends how the Pistons play out this year. They've gotten a better team. This is the best team they've had in a few years. There's a good chance the Pistons will be hovering around near that play-in spot, like near the 10th spot, just because the bottom tier of the Eastern Conference is terrible. The Hornets are awful. The Nets are very bad, and they're not going to get better because they're going to trade anyone of value like Cameron Johnson. Yeah, Cameron Johnson. I don't want to say Cam Thomas, and I always do. But Cameron Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dennis Schroeder, all those guys are going to get moved for whatever the hell that they can get for them. But I think that in mind, other teams also are just not that good. The Raptors are still struggling to figure it out. They might figure it out this year. It would make some sense. But there's just a lot going on, and if the Pistons are not good, they might look to trade Jaylen Duren, and the Knicks will certainly make an offer. They don't have too many picks left, but clearly they're interested. I knew it wasn't going to show up. There we go. As mentioned by Mark Berman on July 10th, so again, a while ago, Leon Rose was in the first row of the presser with Mikhail's mother. He didn't talk, but he's still cooking. He wants to make a big center move after Philly's 2 additions, adding role players, which he's talking about Martin and what's his name, Andre Drummond. He's not specifically talking about the Paul George one. And then he said he heard that Şengün has been on the radar, which is not realistic at all for so many reasons. And Detroit's Jaylen Duren, and that was before the Pistons signed Paul Reed. The Pistons have a ton of big men also, so it would make sense that they were looking to move Jaylen Duren if they want to get assets back. I still don't really think they will. I don't know how realistic it is, but I didn't think the OG Anunoby trade was at all realistic, and look what happened. I didn't think the Mikal Bridges trade was at all realistic, and look what happened. Leon Rose takes what doesn't seem realistic for Knicks fans and makes it happen anyway. This is what he's trying to do to make the team as good as possible. The best way to make this team better out of acquiring any center who I guess there's even a semblance of realism is Jaylen Duren. I just don't really believe it will happen. I think they should target Nick Richards. I think it would be not an expensive trade at all to make. But guys, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. This was a long one. Sorry about that. Guys, have a great day and go Knicks.